The emergency broadcast crackled through the Velkarian High Command Center, and General Thrace felt his 3 hearts sink in unison. "Sir, the simulation results are in." Lieutenant Kess's voice wavered, which was never a good sign. The young officer had witnessed planetary bombardments without flinching, but now he looked like he might vomit across the holographic display. Thrace leaned forward, his elongated fingers drumming against the console. "Well, don't keep me in suspense, Lieutenant. How many of our elite shock troops can we deploy to Earth?" Kess swallowed hard. "Approximately 0, sir." The silence that followed could have suffocated a star. "I'm sorry," Thrace said slowly, his mandibles clicking in irritation. "Did you just say 0? "Yes, sir. 0. As in none. As in we would have better luck recruiting infants." Thrace stood up, all 8 feet of him, and walked toward the display showing Earth rotating peacefully in space. That insignificant blue marble. That backwater planet the Council had dismissed as primitive for centuries. The homeworld of those ridiculous bipedal creatures who called themselves humans. "Explain," he demanded. Kess pulled up the simulation data, and what Thrace saw made his blood run cold. The hologram showed a Velkarian soldier, proud member of the 7th Legion, stepping out of a landing craft onto Earth's surface. The soldier took exactly 3 steps before his leg bones shattered like glass sculptures hitting pavement. The simulation showed the skeletal structure in horrifying detail as fractures spiderwebbed through femurs, tibias, and every other bone in the body. "What in the void am I looking at?" Thrace whispered. "Gravity, sir. Earth's gravity is approximately 9.8 meters per second squared. And ours is 3.2, sir." Thrace blinked all 4 of his eyes in succession, a habit he had when processing information that offended him personally. "You're telling me that simply standing on that planet would crush our soldiers?" "Standing, walking, breathing, existing, yes, sir. All of the above." Kess pulled up another simulation. "We also tested the Draknari shock troops. Similar results. Their spines compressed by 40% within minutes. The Zenti fared slightly better, lasting almost 5 minutes before complete skeletal failure. This is ridiculous." Thrace slammed his fist on the console, immediately regretting it as pain shot through his delicate hand bones. "How do the humans even survive? Are they made of stone?" "We asked ourselves the same question, sir." Kess's expression shifted to something resembling disturbed fascination. "So we did some research into human physiology. Would you like to see? Do I have a choice?" The hologram shifted to display a human skeleton. Thrace had seen human anatomy before, but he had never really studied it. Now, looking at it through the lens of their current predicament, he felt a creeping sense of horror. "Human bones are incredibly dense, sir. Their skeletal structure is designed to support their mass under intense gravitational pressure. They have approximately 206 bones, most of which are thick, heavy, and reinforced with something called calcium phosphate." "Calcium what now?" "It's basically rock, sir. They have rocks inside their bodies." "For structure." Thrace felt dizzy. "Rocks?" "Yes, sir. And it gets worse." "How could it possibly get worse?" Kess pulled up footage from one of their surveillance drones. It showed a human construction site. A worker, wearing primitive protective gear, lost his footing on a scaffolding platform and fell approximately 15 feet onto concrete below. Thrace winced, expecting to see the human splatter like overripe fruit. Instead, the human stood up, brushed himself off, and yelled something at his co-workers. There was laughter. Actual laughter. "That fall should have killed him," Thrace said numbly. "Should have? Yes, sir. But humans have this remarkable ability to absorb impact. Their bones can flex slightly under pressure, and their bodies are surrounded by shock-absorbing tissue they call muscles. When they fall, they can often just walk it off." "Walk it off," Thrace repeated, tasting the words like poison. "We found other footage, sir. Humans engaging in recreational activities." Kess brought up video after video. Humans jumping from aircraft for fun. Humans throwing themselves down mountains on wooden planks. Humans punching each other repeatedly in organized combat sports. "What?" Thrace asked the universe at large. "Why would they do these things?" "Entertainment, sir." Another video showed a human female lifting a metal bar weighted with circular plates. The weight indicator showed 240 pounds. "Is that a soldier?" Thrace asked hopefully. "No, sir. That's a librarian. She does this before work." Thrace sat down heavily, not caring that his posture looked undignified. So you're telling me that we cannot invade Earth because their gravity would kill us instantly, and the humans who live there are so adapted to these conditions that they consider falling from heights and lifting impossible weights to be casual hobbies. That's the situation, yes, sir. What does the council propose we do? Kes hesitated. Well, sir, there is one option. Tell me. We could ask them nicely. Thrace's laugh was bitter and sharp. Ask them. Ask the gravity-dwelling bone monsters for whatever resources we need. Ask them politely. It beats having our entire invasion force collapse into piles of bone fragments, sir. The general stared at Earth on the display, watching it rotate with infuriating peacefulness. Somewhere down there, humans were probably jumping off buildings for fun or lifting vehicles to pass time. Get me a communication channel, he finally said. And someone find me a linguist who speaks human. This is going to be humiliating. Yes, sir. Kes turned to leave, then paused. Sir? For what it's worth, I hear humans appreciate honesty. Wonderful, Thrace muttered. I'll be sure to honestly tell them that we're terrified of their planet, and could they please not laugh too hard when we explain why. As the lieutenant left, Thrace pulled up the simulation one more time, watching the skeletal collapse in slow motion. Gravity-dwelling bone monsters, he said to the empty room. The universe has a sixth sense of humor. Outside the command center, alarms began to sound. Another department had probably just run their own simulations and reached the same bone-crushing conclusions. This was going to be a very long war. Or rather, a very short negotiation. The communications array hummed to life 3 hours later, and General Thrace found himself staring at a human face for the first time in real time. The creature looked disturbingly calm. This is Captain Torres of the United Earth Defense Coalition. To whom am I speaking? Thrace cleared his throat, which came out as more of a clicking gurgle. General Thrace of the Velkarian Expeditionary Fleet. We need to discuss terms. Torres raised one of those bizarre hair strips above her eyes. Eyebrows, the cultural brief had called them. Terms? You folks haven't even entered our solar system yet. Bit premature for surrender, isn't it? We are not surrendering. Thrace's mandibles flared indignantly. Then he caught himself. We are proposing an alternative to conflict. The human leaned back in her chair, and Thrace noticed with growing alarm that she did this casually, as if supporting her entire body weight on 2 legs was effortless. Which, given what he now knew, it probably was. I'm listening, Torres said, and was that amusement in her voice? We have conducted extensive simulations regarding a potential ground deployment to your world, Thrace began carefully. And we have determined that such an operation would be tactically inadvisable. Because your soldiers would shatter like drop china? The silence stretched for approximately 5 seconds. You knew. Thrace finally managed. Torres grinned, showing those unervingly flat teeth. General, we've been monitoring your fleet for 3 months. We intercepted your simulation data 2 weeks ago. Did you really think we wouldn't notice a massive alien armada doing gravitational calculations on our planet? Thrace felt his primary heart skip a beat. You've been watching us panic? Watching, analyzing, and yes, I'll admit there's been some laughter in the break rooms. Torres pulled up a data pad. My personal favorite was when your exobiologists theorized that human children must be weaker than adults, so you could deploy troops to areas with schools and playgrounds. That theory was soundly rejected, Thrace said defensively. After you watch footage of a 10-year-old human child hanging from monkey bars supporting her entire body weight with just her hands, for fun, for like 20 minutes straight. It was disturbing. It's recess, General. Thrace rubbed his temples, or the equivalent anatomical location. Captain Torres, let us speak plainly. We came here seeking resources. Your planet is rich in heavy metals that are rare in our region of space. We assumed conquest would be straightforward, because we don't have faster-than-light travel yet. Precisely. But now we understand that technological advancement and physical capability are not the same thing. He pulled up the simulation data. Your gravity well is a fortress. Your bodies are biological tanks. One of our scientists calculated that the average human could punch through our combat armor. Torres nodded thoughtfully. Probably accurate. We've got Olympic boxers who hit with over 1,000 pounds of force. And they're not even trying to kill anyone, just win medals. Medals, Thrace repeated weakly. Shiny bits of metal we give people for being really good at stuff. Torres leaned forward. But here's the thing, General. We're not interested in fighting you either. Turns out, most humans think the idea of alien contact is pretty exciting. We've got scientists literally jumping up and down about the possibility of cultural exchange. Jumping. Thrace's voice cracked. On purpose. Figure of speech. Mostly. Torres pulled up her own holographic display. So here's what I'm authorized to offer. You need heavy metals? We can trade. We've got mining operations that could supply your needs, and frankly, we'd love access to your faster-than-light technology. Thrace blinked all four eyes in rapid succession. You want to trade? Why not? You folks clearly have impressive tech. We've got resources and apparently terrifying bone density. Seems like a mutually beneficial arrangement. This is not how invasions typically proceed, Thrace said, feeling unmoored. Who said anything about invasion? You showed up, realized you couldn't invade, and now we're having a nice chat about trade agreements. Very civilized. Torres smiled again. Plus, between you and me, General, our military analysts were really hoping you'd choose diplomacy. Why? Because the alternative was us loading a few hundred Marines onto shuttles and coming up to visit your ships. And given what you now know about human physiology in lower gravity environments, Thrace felt his blood go cold. He had not considered the reverse scenario. Humans, adapted to crushing gravity, operating in the low-gravity environments of space stations and ships. They would be able to jump impossible heights, lift incredible weights, and move with horrifying speed. You would be unstoppable, he whispered. We prefer the term diplomatic, Torres corrected cheerfully. But yes, our combat specialists got very excited about the tactical advantages. Something about being able to throw grown Velkarians through walls without really trying. This is extortion. This is practical reality wrapped in friendly conversation. Torres's expression softened slightly. Look, General, nobody wants a war here. Wars are expensive, messy, and generally make everyone miserable. Trade is boring, profitable, and everyone goes home intact. Which would you prefer? Thrace looked at the data streaming across his screens. Casualty projections if they attempted invasion, catastrophic. Economic benefit from trade agreements, substantial. Pride damage from being intimidated by gravity, significant but survivable. The Council will need to approve any formal agreements, he said finally. Naturally, we'll need to run it past our governments too. Bureaucracy is apparently universal. Torres stood up, and Thrace watched nervously as she moved with that casual strength humans possessed. I'll send over our initial trade proposals. I think you'll find them reasonable. Captain Torres, may I ask you something? Shoot. Do humans truly engage in recreational falling and weight lifting as frequently as our surveillance suggests? Torres laughed, and the sound was surprisingly pleasant despite everything. General, we have entire industries built around it. Gyms, skydiving centers, rock climbing walls. We even invented something called parkour, which is basically jumping off buildings and calling it art. Your species is insane. Our species is bored easily and evolved on a high-gravity death world. We make the best of it. Torres gave a small wave. I'll be in touch, General. Oh, and welcome to the neighborhood. Try not to let the gravity get you down. The communication ended, and Thrace sat alone in his command center, staring at the blue planet that had just casually threatened his entire fleet while offering trade agreements. Lieutenant Kess entered hesitantly. Sir, how did it go? We're signing trade agreements, Thrace said numbly. And Kess? Yes, sir. Update all our xenobiology databases. New entry, humans. Classification, gravity-dwelling bone monsters with diplomatic tendencies. Threat level, extreme. Likelihood of actual violence, apparently low if you're polite. Recommended interaction, trade from a safe distance and never, ever challenge them to physical competitions. Kess nodded slowly. Should I add anything about the recreational falling? Yes. Add that they do it for fun, and we should smile and nod if they offer to show us videos. Outside the viewport, Earth continued its rotation, completely indifferent to the fact that it had just won a war without firing a single shot. Thrace pulled up the trade proposals Torres had sent. They were, annoyingly, quite reasonable. Gravity-dwelling bone monsters, he muttered again. But this time there was a hint of respect in his voice. After all, Any species that could turn their horrible environment into a defensive advantage while maintaining a sense of humor deserved at least that much, even if they were absolutely terrifying. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.